welcome to episode 44 of FMOE here on Shaun Does FM with Cardiff City. And coming up today is a transfer special. We're going to run you guys through all the transfer business that we have done leading into our first full season here with Cardiff City still in the championship. So that is what is coming up today, and then off the back of that we can start to get into the gameplay come tomorrow's episode. So if you're looking forward to looking at the business that we have done, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and have been enjoying this series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. But as mentioned, we are still in the championship off the back of the episode at the end of last week. If you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. I do recommend that episode quite highly. It was 3 very interesting games, just so happened to be quite high stakes ones as well. Unfortunately, in the end though, we conceded a goal in injury time and extra time, lost the penalty shootout in the playoff final, so are still down here in the championship, albeit it was quite an enjoyable season for me with Cardiff once we did join from Linfield. So hopefully the same applies this season and we can try and gain automatic promotion, getting off to an even start alongside all the other teams, unlike last season when we took Cardiff over when they were all the way down in 21st place. But today we are going to be focusing on the transfers, and we have actually done quite a bit of business despite the fact we did only have a transfer budget of just over £4 million and not much of a rise to the wage budget as well. It did mean in the end we did do quite a bit of business on the cheap and with quite a few free transfers as well. But I do think we have still improved the squad quite significantly since last season. And here is what we have done. So I think I'm going to try and run through this in a bit of a chronological order so I can keep up to date with you guys from what was happening at the time that I was doing this. The first couple of transfers in terms of the incomings we already did have going through. We did those during the course of last season when we did take over here at Cardiff City. So the first transfer that did happen for this new transfer window off the back of that loss in the championship playoff final was that Carl Jacob Hein did actually join us from Arsenal. That was a deal that we did get done during the latter stages of last season. The former Arsenal man joins us for £170,000. He joins us as the cup goalkeeper, albeit he's actually slightly better than the other new signing that we did get as a goalkeeper from Porto. But with the contract situation, I think we are going to just keep him as a cup backup, because truth be told, not much between those two, but certainly it does mean that we now have 2 very good options in goal here at Cardiff City, and we got him on quite a cheap deal as well. So Carl Jacob Hein, he joined us to be the backup goalkeeper off the back of a spell at Arsenal to start his career after leaving Estonia quite early, and also one decent season out on loan in the championship with Wickham. Didn't perform that well, but hopefully can do a better job with us here at Cardiff City. So that was the first transfer that did go through in terms of the incomings. And off the back of that, another free transfer did come through that we did sort out last season. Dominic van Gool joined us from Willem over in the Netherlands. He is a young promising centre-back and he has 2-star current ability, 5-star potential. Didn't appear that much for Willem back in the Netherlands, but with that potential, hopefully he will grow into that and might even make Premier League level in the future, should we still be here at Cardiff City. But at the moment, I'm quite enjoying my time here, so hopefully this might be our forever club potentially in this side. But a good young signing there on a free transfer with a fair bit of potential. And off the back of that, a few more free transfers did get completed, but these were the first new deals that we did do for this upcoming season here at Cardiff City. First up, a backup attacking midfielder to fill the role that we did have Mohamed Ahatalan on loan cover last season, in behind Ruben Colwill, and we signed Aram Malinos out of Argentina, formerly of Boca Juniors. Spent 9 years there, did a decent job for those guys. I think he was quite a decent pickup on a free transfer, 3-star current ability, 3.5-star potential. Good solid backup to one of our star players here at Cardiff City in Ruben Colwill. Decent attributes for that attacking midfielder on support, and as you can see through the career stats, did spend his last couple of years before he did get released playing quite decently for Boca Juniors. So based on that, he should be able to do a decent job for us as a backup here in the championship. And a few days off the back of that, we made another free transfer, this time an extra centre-back addition just to provide some cover behind the likes of Hyde, McGuinness as well as Curtis Nelson. That was with a Ditter. He is a Colombian, 28 years old, so a little bit on the older side compared to the signings that the board here at Cardiff would like us to be making, but does just provide that squad depth, and we don't need to play him that much. And he is worth a little bit of money as well, so in the future we could sell him and make a good profit from that deal. But 3-star current ability, 3-star potential, he will fill in when we do get some injuries in that centre-back position, and he has formerly spent quite a bit of time around Colombia at the likes of Junior FC, as well as a short spell at Barranquilla, but performed quite solidly for those guys so far since the save did begin, so hopefully he can also do a decent job for us as a backup in the Championship, just like Aaron Molinas, who we did get to cover that attacking midfield position. And then we spent our first bit of actual money in this transfer window, and that was to get a new striker here, someone to at least cover for Keona Tete up front. And it actually works out that this fella Marco Blun is a little bit better than Keona Tete, so I think we are actually going to start him for this upcoming season over the big meaty boy who did a good job for us here last season. In Keona Tete, we signed him from Nordsjælland in his home nation of Denmark. 3-star current ability, 4-star potential, quite a good, solid, well-rounded striker with a little bit of potential, as I said, just a touch better than Keona Tete. It does mean we can now play a Tete as a bench impact player, and I think that could actually be quite a good role for a Tete as well, and obviously rotate those two guys when we do need to give one a rest as well. But he should be a decent signing, the fellow from Nordsjælland. He has a good couple of last few years over there in the Superliga. Spent £1.3 million on him, with a little bit of a percentage of next sale going towards Nordsjælland, but he looks like a fairly promising striker on the cheap, who hopefully can be a slight upgrade on Keona Tete, albeit don't know if we really needed one, but at the very least we do have a bit more cover in that position now, especially off the back of Tresoldi going back to Brighton, off the back of his loan finishings. It was the first transfer where we actually spent some real money in this window, getting in a striker to also fill that role alongside Keona Tete, and that is Marco Blun out of Denmark. And on the same day, we sold our first player in this transfer window. It was kind of a goalkeeper swap in the end, because Daniel Langley, a player who joined us from Newcastle just at the start of last season, he has now gone to Arsenal. He was our second choice goalkeeper here last season once we did sell Phillips to Wigan. And of course, with those additions that we did get, I did feel like he was just not that great. We could get rid of him because he wasn't going to play that much for us anyway. And being homegrown at Newcastle, he was quite expendable. One of the good things about this Cardiff squad, when we did take it over, they already had a ton of players homegrown in nation for the Championship. So it did mean we could get rid of players pretty much whoever we wanted and try and improve this squad with the transfer budget that we did have available to us. But Daniel Langley didn't really feature for us here last season, and we got rid of him after only one season. The previous manager signed him for £86,000. We make a profit offloading him to Arsenal for £120,000, and in the end we get a slightly better goalkeeper in Carl Jacob Hein for a fee around about £50,000 when you do consider the fact that we did swap those two. So I think in the end that was a decent bit of business, getting rid of Daniel Langley to clear up some clutter in that goalkeeping area. And then we spent a little bit more money on another player. This one could in the end actually be one of the best transfers that we do make in this save. He kind of reminds me of the deal we did do on FM23 last season, our Husavik Heroes Build a Nation save, sort of reminiscent of the one we did for Basaro Gay, because this guy, Oluka Goodmanson, who is English and also part Icelandic, only cost us £20,000 up front with £500 in add-ons, and he looks really, really good already. Our second best left back here at the club. He jumps above Dujon Sterling and can also cover centre back and right back as well, albeit with that pace he does have, I certainly think he is going to end up being a better wing back than he is going to be a centre back, even though he is quite tall, has quite good jumping reach for now with only 9 heading. I do think that wing back could be his best position, but nonetheless, he looks like a very, very good pickup. For only £20,000 already, is ranked by the media as the best player at the club and is only 19 years old, the former Akranes man, who I think we did bring up at some stage last season. We went in for him. We couldn't wait until his contract expired because that would have been in October, so we in the end decide to pay the £20,000, and I think it is £20,000 very well spent. He's been decent for Acronis in the couple of years that he's spent time with them, and hopefully does a good job for us here in the championship. But with that potential, he could certainly be a feature player for us if we do eventually make our way up to the Premier League, and it probably won't take him too long to jump above someone like Mateju as our first choice left back as well. So definitely a player to keep an eye out on for the remainder of this save. Ilika Gudmundsson picking him up on the nice and cheap for £20,000 out of Iceland. And the last deal that we did, which was technically last season, which is thankful because that's been a bit of an annoyance so far for me clicking through the menus on the transfer history. We sold Isaac Davies, and it's to our former club in Linfield. He was a winger who just didn't really have the potential I was looking for at Cardiff City, and our former club came in for him with a bid of £375,000. Isaac Davies has left us at Cardiff. He spent his entire career up until that point at the club, so was actually a homegrown club player, but that potential just wasn't quite good enough. Was handy for us at times off the bench last season, but I thought we could improve in that area, and he goes to our former club Linfield for £375,000. Not a bad bit of money for a player who really could have been sold for a bit less than that. So Linfield doing us a solid there and giving us a decent bit of money for Isaac Davies, which did mean we did have to bring some extra cover in that wing area, which we did sort out once the window did tick over into the new season officially. And here are the deals that we have done since that season did tick over. So first off, Oliver Sweeney did join us from Burnley on a free transfer. This was actually a deal done by our assistant manager for the under-21s. As you can see, only 1-star current ability, 3.5-star potential. Probably not the greatest deal, but he has gone back out on loan to Chester, so we'll see what he ends up like, but not costing us too much in terms of a wage. So hopefully he turns into something we can turn around for a profit with the assistant manager there with a player who we did recommend to sign on a free transfer. Thought that one might be worth a punt. Then we got our player who was going to join us since we did make that deal for him in the January transfer window to join on a free. Our first choice goalkeeper here at Cardiff for the upcoming season, and that is Francisco Mexado. As you can see, in terms of star rating and also attributes, not quite as good as Hein, who we did get out of Arsenal, but his contract is as a cup goalkeeper, so because of that, we are going to start him for the most part during the league season, but there isn't that much splitting them, and both of them also have quite similar potential as well, so I don't think we're going to be missing out on too much if we start one over the other, but a good pickup for us there on a free transfer, value between 5.2 and £7 million, and as you can see, has done a decent job for Porto B and for Porto when he's needed to step up to that first team over his career to date. Hopefully does a decent job for us in the championship, but as I said, at the very least, now we have two decent goalkeeping options to call upon if one of them does struggle a little bit. And then we signed our replacement for Isaac Davies. We actually tried to get a few other people in this position, but unfortunately players who were not going to get their work permit renewed. So in the end, we got former Crystal Palace winger in John Kimani Gordon, 23 years old, valued at around about £3 to £4 million, 2.5-star current ability, which was actually the same as Isaac Davies, but that 4-star potential is a lot higher, so he will be a decent backup for us for this upcoming season on the bench, and will be our second choice right winger in behind Galasai. So hopefully he does a decent job for us in that position if we do get some injuries. As you can see, came through at Crystal Palace back in 2018-19, has spent a few years out on loan in both the Championship and the Scottish Premiership, and has played decently in each of those occasions, so hopefully that continues when we do call upon him here at Cardiff City, but a decent pickup there on a free transfer to replace the outgoing Isaac Davies. And then we made our last actual solid departure of the season today, and that was Jason Owen. He was a young goalkeeper with not much potential. We let him go on a free transfer to Blackpool. That was off the back of his contract actually expiring, so not too sure why that one is showing up there on the outgoings. And apart from that, we have loaned out, as you can see, a heap of players just to give us a little bit of extra wiggle room in the wage budget this season. But we have loaned out quite a few players here this season, which does mean we were able to bring in a few more, and a couple of them for a fee as well. And the first of those was a third choice striker, just in case we did get an injury to one of those first two in Marco Bruin or Keona Tete, who has actually been wanted by a few championship clubs so far in this window. Coventry were after him, and he did actually want to go to them as well, despite the fact that they actually finished in a semi-final of the playoffs and we made our way through to the final. But in case he did leave, thankfully that does not look like it's going to be an issue for the next little while, albeit Birmingham are after him. But we decided we want a third choice striker who could also play for our young teams here, and we signed Zakaria Ziani out of Ostende in Belgium for just under £1 million, albeit we only paid about 500,000 of that up front, pretty similar to the previous signing that we did get out of Crystal Palace with 2.5-star current ability, 4-star to 4.5-star potential. He hasn't actually made a first team appearance for Ostende, but as you can see, does look quite promising and is quite young, so can in the future become homegrown club and nation as well. Not that we really need any more players to be of that, but a decent pickup for us there on the cheap, and he can play for our young teams for this upcoming season and the next couple as well, and step up to the first team if we do get an injury to one of Brun or a Tete. So we picked him up overall for £950,000, but most of that is going to get paid to Ostende in installments. So you might not see too much of him this upcoming season, but certainly a player who could jump up to the first team if we do get an injury or one of those two strikers does decide to leave us. And the other player that we've actually signed for the first team for this upcoming season is Davison Savino. He comes to us from Deportes Tolima in Colombia for £600,000 up front and a little bit of extra add-ons in the future couple of years. He is a 2.5-star current ability, 5-star potential defensive midfielder who is better in that defensive midfield role than Alex Patterson. So that is the reason we have decided to sign him yet again, a young player who can potentially in the future become homegrown nation and maybe club as well, albeit being 19 years old might be a little bit late for him to qualify for that, but he is a little bit of an upgrade on Alex Patterson, who I think might be a player who in the next couple of weeks in game we do look at getting rid of, especially because Alex Patterson's transfer value is around the £2 million mark. That could give us some money to try and improve the squad even further, and also would help out a little bit with the wage budget as well, with him being on around about £15,000 a week. But Savino comes to us on a much smaller contract, only £1,000 a week. A lot of these deals that we have done are on quite low wages as well, so that has been quite good for us. It has meant we could get rid of some players with larger wages, and he will be the backup to Joe Ralls in that defensive midfield position. As you can see, he hasn't started too much for Deportes Tolima in his couple of years to date, but will be the backup for us, and with that potential should grow into a handy player for the future here at Cardiff City. So definitely a few signings there that are long-term projects, but hopefully does mean that when we do go up to the Premier League, which hopefully won't take too many more seasons, we do have some players that might have that Premier League potential. And the other signings that we have made were all made for the under-21s by our assistant manager. The first of those was Hugh Jones out of Penybont on a free transfer. He is a right back who actually has decent potential, 1-star current ability and that 4-star potential. He only spent one season at Penybont on a free transfer after leaving West Ham, and we get him back into the English Pyramid, albeit still in Wales, on a free transfer. It's not bad work there from our assistant manager to grab the former West Ham man on a free transfer, as well as that Marley Wilson has joined us on a free. He is a player with 3.5-star potential, 1.5-star current ability, formerly of Leeds, and is another player who can cover those wing positions, much like Gordon out of Crystal Palace, but decent potential for him as well. We'll see if we can turn him around for a profit in the future, having not made an appearance for Leeds in his career to date. We'll see if he gets any here at Cardiff City in the Championship. And the other bit of work their assistant manager did do was another free signing from Penybont, and that was Chris Evans, albeit this one the fans weren't quite so happy about. I kind of get it, because his current ability isn't very good, only greyed out, but his potential is 3.5 stars, and he is a right back. Can also play right wing though, and to be fair, with his 4 marking, that might not be the worst idea, as it doesn't look like the defensive side of his game is the best. But as you can see, formerly of Nottingham Forest, a very similar sort of transfer to that one previously for Hugh Jones, having only spent a little bit of time there at Pennybont after leaving Nottingham Forest, but he rejoins the English Pyramid yet again from a Welsh club to another Welsh club, and we'll see if he develops into anything good in our under-21. So it has been quite a busy transfer window here that I have played over the last couple of days at Cardiff City, and what that does mean for our first team going in to this upcoming season. This is what it looks like. As I said, Mexado is going to be the first choice goalkeeper just with that contract situation and the promises that we did make with that. And that does mean that Jakob Hein will be the backup, even though in terms of star ratings, he does look just a little bit better. But Ben Hardy, McGuinness, Urhoghide and Mateju are still our defensive outfit, albeit Goodmanson could definitely put a lot of pressure on Mateju this upcoming season. A lot better star rating wise, but in terms of the attributes, isn't quite there yet, but no doubt with game time for the backup team over this season, I think he might work his way into that first team sooner rather than later. Also the same is our midfield, Coventry and Rels, with a few different backups there with Rinomota, and it will be, once he recovers from that small injury, Davison Savino, who is the second choice backup instead of Alex Patterson, as mentioned earlier, a player I think I would like to try and get rid of for that price of £2 million. And the main point of change for us this upcoming season is in our attack, which I suppose is a little bit surprising, especially with how well Keon Atete did do for us last season, but he was also quite injury prone. So outright Galasay still there, and Colwell in the attacking midfield with just those changes to their backups in both Gordon and Molinas. But this season we have put Robinson over Jakalis as the starting left winger. That is because his attributes are just slightly better for that role, but to be fair, not much between those two out on the left-hand side. And if he doesn't perform well too early, Callum Robinson, we can always put Jakalis back in there. And it does mean quite a few good green links in this team as well. They have built up nicely over the end of last season and the pre-season as well. But based on attributes, it does look like Robinson should be a little bit better than Jakalis in that left wing role. And as mentioned earlier, Marco Blun will come into the first team as the striker over Keon Atete, who I do think could be a very, very good bench impact striker for us this upcoming season, as long as Birmingham, who are after him, don't pry him away. For us to be fair, it would take a fair bit over his transfer value for that to happen. And even then, I do think we could potentially improve on someone with that 2.5-star current ability and 3-star potential, but definitely not someone I am looking at selling off the back of how well he did do for us last season, our player of the season in our first year here in charge at Cardiff City. In terms of the backup team, we'll just bring that one up in case you are wondering. This is what the second 11 does look like for this upcoming season. They'll probably play a few cup games for us, and we do have some of those coming up nice and early in the season this time, with the Carabao Cup being one of our first two fixtures this upcoming season. In terms of other players we might look at getting rid of, as mentioned earlier, I think Alex Patterson, with that transfer value and the wage he is taking up with his current ability and potential, would be a good player to get rid of for that £2 million mark. And also, we might look at loaning out Xavier Simons just to see if he can start to grow towards that potential of 3.5 stars. Otherwise, he might be a player that we do also get rid of in the future, because at 23 years old, he does need to start to develop into that potential for him to be worth keeping around here at Cardiff City. And if we can get rid of Patterson, there is a player I would very, very much like to get hold of here at Cardiff City, albeit we do have to wait until the end of this month before he can join us, due to the fact that at the moment he is not 18 years old, but he has been featuring for the Qatar national team at the most recent World Cup, which was played over the off-season. And this is the player Khalid Al-Bloshi, only 17 years old with 4-star current ability and potential. Somehow is not wanted by big clubs yet. I'm hopeful that remains the case, because already he looks like a spectacular midfielder, either defensively or attacking. So hopefully we could find a way to raise some funds to go towards him if we can convince him he should join us here at Cardiff. We've been working on that over the off-season at the moment. I think he might be interested in a loan, but the club would only be interested in a loan if it did have a decent future fee in there. So that might be something that we do before the transfer does wrap up over the first few episodes of gameplay that we do have in the next couple of days of FMOE, but as you can see, he would be a really good get for us and be a player that we can build this team around for the Premier League in the future. He looks like a really good grab, does a 17-year-old out of Qatar, already 9 caps for the national team, and looks like a real future star potentially of world football. So hopefully we get hold of him before one of the big clubs around the world notice him as well. But that would be the ideal situation. Maybe get rid of Patterson, get this guy in on loan with a mandatory future fee, and he could be a player of real significance that we do bring to the club here at Cardiff City. But that's what we have done in the transfer window as we do get ready for the 5th season of the save at Cardiff City, and our first full one in charge off the back of that playoff final loss at the end of last week. So that will do it for today's episode. Obviously just transfers, but I did think that would be a good idea, and also gives me a bit of time to get some gameplay in so we do not miss out on any daily uploads for this upcoming week. So if you like the look of that business that I have done, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well in terms of what is coming up over the next few episodes. We'll come back tomorrow and play those first 2 games this season, the first of which is away in the Championship as we take on Huddersfield. We built up a pretty good record against those guys last season, with Steven Gerrard having been in charge there for a couple of seasons, albeit just expected to finish below us on the season preview, so it could be an interesting matchup away from home. And off the back of that, we do have the first round of the Carabao Cup as we take on Sheffield Wednesday away from home. Hopefully that will be a win for us there against the team from down in League One. And then the day after that one, we'll come back towards the end of that transfer window just in case we do anything right on deadline day, and we'll probably show you guys one of those games against Derby County or Wigan, and maybe also that one against Peterborough, newly promoted from League One as well, and from there we'll start to progress just a little bit quicker. And in terms of the season preview for this upcoming season as well, before I do forget, I'll probably bring this up before we do get into gameplay in tomorrow's episode, but with those transfers we are expected to finish 12th, not too different from where Cardiff were expected to finish last season, but the odds have come in just a little bit, and the teams that did get relegated at the end of last season from the Premier League were Everton, Watford and Middlesbrough. As you can see, all 3 of those teams are predicted to be right in that fight to go straight back up, albeit we did actually beat Everton in the FA Cup last season, albeit that was helped out massively by a red card. And the teams that did get promoted from League One were Derby County, expected to do quite well, Millwall and Peterborough. So it'll be interesting to see if things are any different in the Championship this season, and hopefully with a full season in charge we can make a decent push for automatic promotion, albeit those teams who did get relegated from the Premier League might have a bit to say about that. But we'll come back tomorrow and play the first couple of games of the season. It will be Huddersfield in the Championship and Sheffield Wednesday in the first round of the Carabao Moose Cup. And until then, thank you very much for watching, keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.